Today we are going to talk about bushcraft knives because if you're going out into the outdoors, you got to have a bushcraft knife. It's kind of one of the most important tools of bushcraft. This is good for camping. It's good for emergency preparedness knowledge, all that kind of stuff. So, in this video, we're going to talk about why a bushcraft knife is very vital to bushcraft. We're going to talk about key features that you should look for in a bushcraft knife, and we're going to talk about how to use and maintain your knife safely. So, why is a bushcraft knife essential? So, one of the things that a bushcraft knife can do is carve tools. A lot of times, I'm making stakes or poles that I'm going to use for structures, or maybe even making a spoon or a bowl. In any of those situations, a bushcraft knife is essential. If you're going to use a friction fire, using a knife to carve your spindle and your base, all that kind of stuff. Super useful for processing firewood. And then, not to mention, it's great for starting fires with something like a ferro rod. You can create a spark, start a fire without a match, without a lighter. And of course, when you're preparing food, when you're chopping up vegetables or meat or anything like that, obviously the knife can be used for that purpose as well. And then finally, like I mentioned, it's good for making tools, but it's also just essential for when you're building shelters, like, creating notches in wood where you might be tying down things, and for just trimming branches that you're using for cover or for bedding. Now we're going to talk about what are some of the key features of a bushcraft knife. And I think for this, the first thing I want to do is actually introduce a couple of knives that we can work with. There's two that I would recommend starting out with, kind of looking at least. This is a Mora knife. This is called the Companion. And then this is a BPS Adventure. So let's talk about some of those features, and then we'll compare these two as we do that. So the blade material, like I said, the carbon steel versus stainless steel. Both of these are carbon steel. They do stay sharp nicely. And in addition to that, in terms of maintenance, these do require some to prevent them from rusting. Basically, you just keep them oiled. So we'll talk about the grind of the blade, okay? This has a Scandinavian grind. Both of them do, actually. And that means that this one edge here is flat on the back. And so that makes the process of striking a ferro rod effective, for one thing. And also it allows you to baton wood by striking this side with like a piece of wood or something like that. And then the grind, again, on both of these, there's a grind on both sides of the blade. It's just one single grind, and then it comes to an edge. And so this is considered a strong grind because there isn't a second grind for sharpness. This bevel has about a 20 degree grind from the square to the edge. Just one single grind on both sides, maintain sharpness, and it's strong. So we were using this for a lot of heavy duty stuff, processing wood, stuff like that. It's a good grind for that purpose. That's why it's popular with bushcraft knives. 2 to 4 millimeters as the width. Now this, I believe, is 2. The Mora knife is 2 millimeters. This one is 3 millimeters. So this one, the Mora knife, is going to be better for smaller tasks, for carving. It's lighter. This one's a lot heavier and thicker. So that's the main difference between the two. And it's kind of personal preference. I'd almost personally rather have a slightly bigger one and then have like a pocket knife for doing smaller stuff. We can talk about the handle. Of course, this is wood and this is rubber. Some people like the rubber, the feel of it. It's comfortable, it's grippy. I kind of like the wood. I like the kind of classic tradition. This is, very traditional. And now we'll talk about the tang. The tang is basically the knife travels down as one piece. This is called a full tang, okay? Because it goes through the handle, the full width of the handle. It's on the same as the other side as well, and on the bottom. So the blade, even without these woods, I could take these wood pieces off, and the blade is all one piece, all the way down to the bottom here. And so, because of its thickness and because it's a full tang, it's less likely to break. If you have a knife that doesn't have a full tang, like a pocket knife that bends, obviously to fold in, it doesn't have a tang. It basically is not connected to the handle, really. It's like on a swivel. So those are more likely to break under a lot of pressure. This is much better for processing wood. The Remora knife has what's called a full, but a rat tail tang. So the blade metal does go all the way to the end of the handle, but it tapers off. It like tapers off and becomes like a rat tail. So it's called a rat tail tang. The sheath, as I mentioned, this is a plastic sheath. Perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with that. This is a leather sheath. A little more classic. This actually has a ferro rod attached to it. It's a nice thick leather case sheath that you can connect to your belt on your side and carry it on your side. Same thing with this, just smaller, lighter. So this is $20 to $30, $30 to $40. This I've seen it for $15, depending on where you buy it. You might even be able to find one used for $10, depending. They're great knives though, so they last and people keep them. So might be hard to find one used. In the next section, just want to have a quick overview about how to use your knife safely. Once you get one, there's a couple of rules. One is always cut away from yourself. Don't cut towards your hand or your fingers. Like you see some people come like this. You really don't want to do that. You know, they'll always have a nice firm grip. Don't fuck around. Like this. Have a nice grip when you're doing stuff. And then whenever you're carrying the knife, just keep it sheathed. You're not using it. That prevents accidents from happening. If you're going to hand someone a knife, the old rule is you grab the blade here and just hand them the handle like that. And then you wait until they say, I got it, and then you let go. That way you don't drop it on someone's foot. Those are some basic safety rules. Now let's talk about caring for the knife real quick. The main thing is to keep it dry and clean. But even if it's clean and you've not put it away wet, depending on your environment, it can still get moist. So the second part of that, after use, obviously clean it, but then make sure it's oiled. It's good to use an oil that is food safe. So, you know, if you use, but preferably doesn't go rancid. So I like to use mineral oil because it is food safe. It's food grade oil, but it doesn't go rancid. So you can put it on this carbon steel, and basically that keeps it from rusting. It keeps it from the water from penetrating and rusting it. A dull knife is the most dangerous kind of knife. You know, look at sharpening stones and a honing rod. A honing rod is basically, you know, the things you see chefs go, shh, shh, shh. It's just like a rod, and it basically kind of hones the edge. That's probably all you'll need to do mostly. You probably only need to sharpen it with a stone every once in a while, because this will maintain its edge pretty well. And it's also good just to keep an eye on your sheath, make sure it's holding your knife and it's not pierced to where part of the edge is going to cut your leg when you're walking. So I've showed you two examples of affordable, high-quality bushcraft knives. There are plenty of other brands out there that are fantastic. I would say if you're looking, the main four things that I would look at is, you know, a 4 to 6 inch blade. That's a Scandi grind, like one of these. I would definitely go with carbon and steel so that you can use a ferro rod and use your bushcraft knife to start a fire if you need to. Look for a full tang and just make sure it feels comfortable in your hand. And if you do those things, you'll have a good quality bushcraft knife that'll last you your whole lifetime and could save your life, make your outdoor experience more enjoyable. So thanks for watching the video, y'all. This is your basic bushcraft knife 101 here. I hope that was useful for you.